Am I the a-hole for refusing to chip in for a coworker's wedding gift after literally being uninvited? Alright people, I'm gonna need your hot takes on this office drama that's been driving me insane. So I, 27 female, have been working at this marketing agency for about 2 years. My coworker, just 31 female, is getting married next month and initially invited our whole team, 8 people, to her wedding. We're not like besties, but definitely friendly. Lunch together sometimes, happy hours, the usual work friend stuff. Last week, our office manager Sarah started collecting money for a group gift. She's asking for $200 each, which would get us some fancy kitchen gadget from their registry. That's basically what I'd budget for someone I'm actually friends with, but whatever. I was planning to contribute. Well, yesterday, I got the most awkward text from Jess, saying they had to make some cuts to the guest list, and unfortunately, they couldn't accommodate me anymore. Something about venue capacity and family additions. But here's the kicker. I know for a fact that everyone else on our team is still invited. This morning, Sarah comes by my desk asking for my contribution to the gift fund. I politely told her that since I'm no longer invited, I'd rather get Jess a smaller gift on my own. Sarah looked shocked and said, "But it's a team gift, and that not contributing the full amount would mess up the group harmony, like I give a single damn." The icing on the cake? I know the wedding cut was because Jess invited her old coworker who just got a VP position at a major client. Suddenly, there's no room for me, but I'm still expected to drop $200 on her registry? Can someone please tell me the truth? Am I the a-hole for refusing to contribute the full amount to a wedding I'm not even attending? Now for the top comments. Don't give her a thing. Nothing. Not even a card. No invitation, no gift. She's the victim of some serious office politics. Sorry, Jess, but the only gift you're getting from me is my attendance at your wedding via the office live stream. Yeah, when Sarah asks again, simply reiterate that since you are no longer invited, you don't want to give anything. You don't need to justify it further. $200 is an outrageous ask for a coworker in the first place, unless you make a really high salary. Even so, I wouldn't do it. You're completely not the a-hole, but be prepared for some dirty looks. This $200 is for someone who is a close friend or a family member. Not Jane from marketing who you occasionally have lunch or drinks with and are friendly with. OP, not the a-hole. Tell your coworker that since you are not invited, you will not be contributing to the gift and the team members who are invited can contribute to the gift. If your coworker is shocked, tell her straight up that the bride rescinded your invitation, so she could invite an old coworker instead, so they can talk to that person about contributing the $200. Yeah, I gave my sister $50 at her wedding, and I was in the wedding. That was a decade ago. I'd probably be comfortable with $100 for someone close now. Gifts for special occasions that people plan and decide themselves doesn't make much sense to me, but I understand that's a me thing. I'm not dishing $200 for anyone, especially a coworker who uninvited me. If I'm not important enough to be at the wedding, they aren't important enough to receive a gift. Next story. Am I the a-hole for cutting my friend off for breaking up with her sick fiancé? I, 20 female, recently cut off a friend, Reagan, 26 female, for breaking up with her fiancé when he found out he was diagnosed with cancer. To make it clear, it sucks that he's going through something like that, but I also know Reagan's allowed to have preferences or limits in a relationship. From my understanding, she was really happy with him, and after a slew of really bad relationships, he was great to her. So obviously, I was surprised when she told me she wasn't speaking with him anymore, and that she'd broken off their engagement. I asked why, and she told me he had cancer and she didn't want to deal with that. Firstly, how is anyone's first reaction to break up when finding out the man they're going to marry is sick? He is in a vulnerable position, and he's helped her through so much over the past few years. And she didn't think about any of that when she broke it off? Obviously, I told her I think she should reconsider. I was diagnosed with a rare disease when I was a teenager, and it would break my heart if my significant other left me solely because of something I have zero control over. She basically told me I was projecting because I'm basically in the same boat as him, and told me I was being selfish and only thinking about my emotions and not about hers. Her justification was that she needed to think about her future, and she didn't want to tie herself down to someone and have to deal with his sickness for the rest of her life. I get the sentiment, sort of, but she basically just implied that if you're sick, you're not entitled to being loved unconditionally. I haven't spoken to her since, and I sent her boyfriend a card and let him know that if he ever needs to talk about navigating the diagnosis, I'd be here. She reached out to apologize, but honestly, I don't want to hear it. Not only did she leave a wonderful guy when he was in a vulnerable position, but she basically told me that I shouldn't expect people to love me or stick around because I'm also sick. Well, she certainly wasn't going to take her vows seriously, was she? In sickness and health, not the a-hole. Literally this. Things were going pretty great for her when he'd drop everything for her the minute she needed him. But when he needed her, she literally didn't wait 2 days before telling him she deserved better for herself than a man who was sick. I had an uncle like this. He and his wife were incapable of being social with people that had an illness or any other misfortune that made someone not someone that could lift up their lives. We hadn't heard from them for years after my mother got her cancer diagnosis. Then, when they found out through someone in the family that my husband and I got married and bought a house that was, by definition in their country, a very spacious one with a lot of land, suddenly they wanted to catch up. But when my mom got the news she wasn't going to get better, and we asked them to come see her on her birthday because it could very well be her last, they couldn't be bothered and told us that they would appreciate just getting updates from another uncle. He stopped being anything to me at that moment. I heard he died alone because his wife didn't want to be tied down when he got sick, and she just kept working and not bothering with him. No divorce, though. That would be shameful. I didn't go to his funeral. When an aunt asked if I wanted to come, and I told her why not, she said she was disappointed he was already dead because she would have killed him for the way he treated my sister and me around the time Mom passed. It's your friend's choice to drop her fiancé because of his health. It's your choice to drop her because of her acting like a twat. Sorry, inconsiderate human being. Not the a-hole. This hits very close to home for you, so your reaction makes total sense. The card you sent was very, very sweet. Poor man. You both deserve much better. I am sorry you lost a friend in the process. Not the a-hole, obviously. I hope he gets the support he needs to navigate this. It's so difficult to go through something like this when you're still relatively young. I think he's 27 to 28. And I hope when things start looking up for him, he finds himself a woman who will stick with him through sickness and health. This situation is honestly making me lose hope in relationships, and I know it's something I'll think about in future relationships, and that sucks. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to forgive my friends for keeping my boyfriend's cheating a secret? I just got out of a 6-year relationship after finding out my boyfriend had been cheating on me for months. The worst part? Almost all of my closest friends knew, and no one told me. We've all been part of the same friend group since college, hanging out every weekend, taking trips together, and supporting each other through everything. Or so I thought. A few weeks ago, I got a message from a girl I didn't know. She told me she had been seeing my boyfriend and just found out he was in a relationship. At first, I thought she was lying or mistaken, but she sent screenshots, texts, photos, even a video of them together. I felt like my whole world shattered. When I confronted my boyfriend, he admitted everything. He had been cheating for nearly a year, and my friends knew. They saw him flirting at parties, caught him sneaking off with her, and even overheard conversations about it. When I asked them why they didn't tell me, they gave me excuses. It wasn't our place. We didn't want to be involved. We thought you might already know. I was devastated. These were the people I trusted the most, and they let me be blindsided. I cut off my ex immediately, but my friends? That's been harder. Some have apologized, saying they feel awful, while others are acting like I'm overreacting. They keep inviting me to things, expecting everything to go back to normal, but I can't look at them the same way. Now they're saying I'm being unfair by holding this against them, that I shouldn't throw away years of friendship over this. But they knew, they saw. and they chose to stay silent while I was being lied to. Now they expect me to just move on like nothing happened? But how can I ever trust them again? Am I the a-hole? You're justified in feeling betrayed. Your boyfriend cheated for months while your friends, who saw everything, kept silent, putting their comfort above your well-being. It's natural to pull back from both him and those friends who failed you, and setting boundaries or taking space isn't overreacting, but a healthy way to protect yourself. True trust can only return if they acknowledge the hurt they caused and consistently show honesty and support moving forward. Until then, it's fair to prioritize relationships that respect and defend you. It's amazing that they said they didn't think it was their place or didn't want to be involved. If not your friends, who else should be involved? I mean, a freaking stranger who allegedly just found out he was in a relationship told her. If a stranger can understand that OP deserved to know, why would her friends think she didn't? Not the a-hole. They have proven they can't be trusted, and just like her boyfriend, they have to face the consequences of their actions, which means they are no longer friends. They're crappy people and not your friends. They know damn well that if the roles were reversed, they would have wanted you to say something. Tell them to buzz all the way off. This right here, they can all buzz off and keep on buzzing off till the end of time. I have to say that the friends are damned if they do and damned if they don't. Because from personal experience, I can say that being the person who tells their friend they are being cheated on is a thankless task, and often ends with the friend getting all the fallout from the situation and losing the friend anyway. Many people don't want to believe it, and when confronted, the cheater will often try to discredit the teller by claiming that the teller made passes at them and is just making this up out of jealousy or some other nonsense, and the cheated on will often believe it. By the time the truth is out in the open and the teller is vindicated, the damage is irreparable. All of this is true. You can't know how a friend is going to react to this kind of news or to the messenger. Many times, the couple gang up on the messenger, and friends are lost when people believe they are doing the right thing by saying something. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not taking my absent ex to our son's wedding? I'm really at a loss here, and I need your help, Reddit. My ex and I had a brief high school romance that ended with a surprise pregnancy and with him cheating on me. Before he cheated, his mom sat down with my parents, himself and me, making all kinds of promises about what the future would hold for my unborn child. She promised he would not only be involved in the baby's life, but also help to support the baby. Surprise, surprise, that didn't turn out to be the case at all. Instead, I found out about the cheating, broke up with him, and apparently, that meant he had no responsibility for the baby anymore. Child support was ordered, but only paid out in the most minimal amounts when jail was threatened, so he owes plenty in arrears to this day. But we will never see a dime of it, and I've come to accept that, and am honestly fine with it, as my husband and I have worked hard to provide for my eldest and his siblings anyway. I should add that my husband stepped in and stepped up when my eldest was only 9 months old, and has loved him as his own ever since. Fast forward several years, and my eldest is grown now and preparing to marry his true love next week. I'm so excited for them. However, my ex is still irresponsible and does not own a car or have a driver's license. My son has asked my husband and me if we can transport the ex back and forth to their wedding reception so he can be there as well. The trip will take approximately 3 hours round trip. I should stress that my ex has been inconsistent with visits as our son has grown up, let him down several times, refused to hold jobs so he can collect disability and do drugs instead, and couldn't be bothered to help contribute to much of anything our son needed financially. This forced my husband and me to make several sacrifices over the years, which we did out of love without a second thought. But the hardest part was always seeing the look on my son's face when his father would let him down in one way or another. I tried to suggest alternative arrangements, such as my son picking him up a day or so before the wedding and staying with him, or him getting a ride with someone he knows instead of our family. Heck, even a Greyhound would work. Nothing I suggest seems to work out for one reason or another, though. I have a hard time telling my son no directly, so I wanted to give him another option without having to discuss the past bad blood between all of us. My husband has no respect for the ex, and neither do I. This morning it came to a head when our son asked us once again if we could do it, as the alternatives just wouldn't work. My husband called him before I had a chance to, knowing I tend to sugarcoat things and wouldn't be as direct as was needed. He told him in no uncertain terms that it was a pretty big ask, and that it was simply something we could not do. He said there was no way he could sit in the car with that man without screaming at him or choking him for all that he has done in the past, and that we shouldn't have to. We are cordial to him when we are together at any event, but to be contained in our own vehicle and expected to cater to his needs is on a whole different level. While we would do anything for our son, we still have boundaries. My husband asked him not to be mad at us, but I suspect he is, as he hasn't returned my phone call yet. I'm hoping he's just taking some time to look at things from our perspective or come up with other arrangements for his father to be at his reception. I just wish my ex would take that responsibility on himself instead of adding that stress onto the soon-to-be-wed couple. So there you have it, Reddit. Am I the a-hole for saying no to protect our peace after all that's happened over the years? Not the a-hole. Your son is simply asking too much. No is no. I wouldn't do that with my ex either. He is a terrible person also. Can someone from his dad's side of the family bring him? It's a very small affair, and he decided not to invite anyone from his side of the family. Who decides that all the alternatives won't work? That is selfish. I am an adult male and I make it work. Car goes into the shop. Guess who takes a bus that day? Drive a family member to see a concert 2 states over? Guess who gets to spend $1,000 to get the tie rods, muffler, and other things fixed? Adult. This is not a disabled child we are talking about. It is a grown man who somehow had the ability to get his square peg into the round hole to have a child, but can't seem to do anything else. Don't feel guilty. Remind son that what he is asking is for 2 adults who seem to function in life to rescue someone who doesn't even know how public and private transportation work. And why doesn't the father's family bring him with them? Probably because he has burned all of those bridges as well. Her son is pretty ballsy for asking this of the people who actually raised him without the bio dad really in the picture. Some people just don't care about the people who love them and chase down fantasy relationships. Just sad. I thought of that. What fantasy does the son have in his head if the bio dad shows up? I picture Cousin Eddie standing at the sewer say, "Crapper's full." If it's important to the ex to be there for his son, the ex should be the one to arrange to be there for his son. It's the ex who should be doing the arrangements for his own grown-ass self. I feel the same way. I'm just torn because of how much I know it means to my son. You have sacrificed enough for the deadbeat father. No is no. Stick to your guns, or you will be disrespecting your husband who has moved mountains for your son.